Welcome to Backmarkers with Kieran Hunn for episode 7, the slowest motorsport podcast in the world.
Probably.
Even the intro's slow.
Mate, we've got to behave because we're live. Normally we'd have about 4 breakdowns before doing this. Really?
Yeah, like your Mini, we'd have to fix it a few times and then eventually it gets up and running.
Excuse me?
And then we're away for an hour and a half.
Your car's been in the garage, mate. It's not just mine.
Mine breaks down 8 times. That's worse than this podcast.
Yours is a granddad's car. Mine is... well, it's not even mine anymore. I sold it.
Uncle.
Oh, God. Right, can we get to talking about stuff that... Oh my God, that's really bright. I've got notes in front of my eyes. Let me move them. So it's not, like, blinding.
See, we came prepared.
We got notes this week.
Actually sorted ourselves out.
Yeah. Did you do any notes? You said you did some.
I did. Look, I've got notes.
Wow. That's new.
1 whole page.
Wow. That's
1 whole page. I had 2 whole pages last week. Or last episode.
That's probably why you spoke so much. Poor
Yes.
Matt didn't sing once.
Most of the time he was just correcting me.
It's like, that K-Mag thing, man. I will never forgive you for that. You were so out. How dare you come on this podcast? I don't know when K-Mag started in F1. Get out. Absolutely.
You see episode 6 for more details.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank God Matt knew what he was talking about. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Still my skin there.
Yeah. So we were at Miami this weekend.
We were.
Miami. My notes.
Almost forgot.
Well, it wasn't that memorable, to be honest. Wasn't a lot that made us feel great that we turned on and gave up our evening, on a Sunday evening. You know what I mean? It wasn't everything.
No.
We should have known from last year. Like,
Yeah. It wasn't groundbreaking then either, no.
it was the meme
It's the
track.
litmus test. Yeah,
it was just the meme.
It is.
Oh.
It's like Baku if it didn't have those, like, crazy races start things off. Because everyone was like, I don't know, about Baku when it was first announced. Oh, and then it had amazing race and now everyone accepts it.
Yeah.
Miami's had 2 really bad races to start with and now no one wants it anymore. It just takes one classic race where everything just turns on its head and everyone's like, it actually can stay on the calendar now. No wonder everyone complains about the tracks all the time. Yeah, let's have more Miami now because it rained once. But no, it didn't get started at all, did it? Really?
All I remember of last year was them having to relay the track on Friday because after FP1 and 2, the cars absolutely destroyed the track and they had to relay it on Friday.
Yeah.
That's all. Maybe more shit's happened. It's just gone right over my head. But that is all I remember thinking, oh my God, it's a glorified car park, isn't it? It's just a car park.
Palace all over again. We're not even in Las Vegas yet. That could fall to bits as well. We've all seen IndyCar. But yeah, they managed to sort it out, but it's still... I mean, all the drivers were saying, there's not enough grip on here.
Well, they've relayed it again, haven't they?
It in. Well, this is it.
It's a new
like
track.
they haven't been able to put any rubber down. And it's not like any other series race on it.
No.
So it's just like brand new again. All I could think was, oh God, it better not be like Turkey. It was no. To be fair, Turkey did create a classic race after all that. So maybe they need to resurface with Turkey tarmac again, and it might have actually been fun. You watch next season for the 3rd time lucky, they're going to resurface it again with Turkey tarmac, and we're going to have a classic.
Obviously.
Everyone's going to go, yes, keep Miami on the calendar. I have no issue with this now.
I'm gonna talk about a couple of things before we get into quali, because I feel like what happened outside of the track had more of an impact than the actual race. Says a lot. Shall we talk about the drivers' intros?
Yeah, I think that's a good start. It will start this off with that.
I'll just say, I put it in the notes, didn't I? Right, that it's for me, it was a bit much. It was a bit on the cringe, but the majority of people that were complaining about the intro were British, and we are miserable. Yes. You know, we are not happy. You go to Silverstone, there'll be fans complaining it's raining. They'll be stood there with a brew and a bacon sarnie, and that's their happy place, and they're still not happy. Do you know what I mean? So I think, and one of the things that you have to like kind of remember is that Formula One is European. As much as they want to throw it to the Americans, it's still a very European thing. And it's maybe a little, but it's totally America. And I will say on the flip side of it, if we went, you know, when we go to India or when we go to Baku or anything like that, we embrace their culture. Maybe we need to just embrace America's culture a little bit more.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, because they've done it before, haven't they? They've done this kind of big intro at COTA a couple of seasons back, and I could see the appeal when it's done right. And I think COTA did it right because they had that boxing announcer, didn't they?
Yeah.
Name eludes me, but he does it right.
Yeah.
He can do it right. He can actually get an announcement right because he's proven at it. But the way they did this one was it was cringe. It was. Especially when it sort of, but I think it's because the drivers weren't as hyped, and it just creates this big divide, right? And let's face it, Sargent is on the grid, an American driver, and you'd have thought if anyone was going to be hyped about this, it'd be him. And everyone was of the same opinion, like, could take it or leave this, you know? And it was the fact that it was so close to the driver's preparation as well. There's a few drivers going, we were so disrupted, we were barely ready for the start of the race.
So we very rarely have anything like, I mean, they do the national anthem, which is like a minute, but normally we don't have anything like that before a race because the drivers are so focused. And I can understand why they all just went, why are we here? What is this? Like, I need this time to prep. I need to cool down. It was a very, very hot circuit, and they're running back and forth, boiling themselves over. Like, it was
exactly. Not all of them had the privilege of the cool suits.
No,
and they're stuck in a green room waiting to be called out. So you're either stuck in a green room, which presumably wasn't very well air conditioned, and then you're back outside waiting for everyone else to finish before you can carry on. And it just felt, it is a gimmick. It is a gimmick. It's IRL F1's version of F1 Life, where it's like, it's fine, but is it necessary? Do we really need it? Is it just a hindrance?
Yeah, we don't need it. We don't need it. We don't need it. We're good. We're good.
There goes that elusive contract.
Bye.
I mean, look, it is the Americanization of this sport, and it is an entertainment, and that obviously can't be ignored. I mean, you look at Drive to Survive; it's a clear indication they're just going down the entertainment route here.
Yeah,
it's like it just needs to be interesting in some way, and well, they succeeded because effectively that was one of the only interesting bits in the race, in the Grand Prix.
Kevin was there.
Hadn't even started yet.
Whoa! Kevin's racing his
Ace.
little art out. You're like, well, that intro was better, mate. Do you know what I mean? Wow.
Sensing some bias again.
Don't know what you're talking about.
No, not at all.
I had a wonderful time yesterday listening to you boys talk about a particular menu that was at the Miami track.
It's gone a wee bit viral, that now.
It is viral. If anyone hasn't seen it, there's a menu that was at the track for Miami.
Come out from under your rock and take a look.
Yeah, I haven't really looked at it, to be honest, because, you know. But Matt, who was on our podcast last week, Finn, who's a bot, and Kieran were in a VC together racing. And Finn brought up this menu. And I've never heard Matt so irate about a salad.
Oh, he was furious. Absolutely fuming. I've never heard that side of him. I've known him ages. I've never heard that side of him.
$350 for a salad?
Furious. You couldn't believe it.
The best bit was Finn, who's the most Yorkshire person in the world, going, $400 for caviar. I couldn't breathe.
It just put it in a brand new light. It really did. It was spectacular.
You could just see him going, I'm not getting that. Bugger that.
There's not a line there.
Of all the things.
It's like a spoonful.
Oh, it's gone. Oh my god.
Oh, it's just absolutely horrendous. What on earth? Even the merch as well. $90 hats, $150 t-shirts. There was these mini helmets. There must be like 1/14 or something. I can't remember. But they were charging $420 for those. $420. Who's right?
The engine in my Mini costs less than that.
It's a little bit bigger. It's a tiny bit bigger. There's 2 more horsepower than a helmet. So you're getting good value for money there for sure.
Oh my god. The funniest thing that I read about the whole weekend, we all know Ash, don't we? Content creator. She was there. She was at Miami with Red Bull. And she put the funniest thing. If you haven't already, go and check her Twitter out. She put all the money that they've put in to Miami. And they only have 1-ply toilet roll. Mate. Why are you being so stingy with the quality, man? What the I would notice that. I would go, are you for real? How much I pay for these tickets? And then he'd
just
go,
no. Just fold it over. Just fold it over and it's 2-ply. And it's like, no, give me strength. I mean,
how cheap do you have to be?
But I guess irate as Matt now. Like, it's outrageous. It is absolutely outrageous. Why?
God.
How can they justify that? What kind of example is that setting? Seriously,
I don't know.
It's saying,
what kind
like,
of example are you setting with 1-ply toilet roll, bro?
1-ply toilet roll. Yeah, it shows what the influencers care about.
Oh, we'll talk about that now.
Oh, we will.
Yeah. We'll just we'll get on to the real shiz. Twitter had an emotional breakdown. I think TikTok did as well. I'm not really on TikTok that much anymore, but they had an emotional breakdown because all of these influencers are going to Miami for free and they don't particularly know or like Formula One. There was a couple of videos where they were like the racing thing and stuff. I'm going to explain it very simply, okay? Formula One is a business, okay? And just to explain, if they sent me there I'm available. If they sent me there with my 2K on Twitter, all of my followers are obviously going to be Formula One fans because I do a lot of Formula One content. Okay. Now, if they send Tom, Dick, and Harry to Miami and they were makeup influencers and between them they all have like 10K each, there's going to be, out of that 10K, a lot of people who have no interest in Formula One. So what Formula One is doing is reaching a broader reach of people who wouldn't know Formula One or watch it. And that is why influencers are there. And have you seen Monaco?
Yeah.
They've been doing it for years.
Fair, it's rampant with riffraff for the sake of
posh riffraff.
making sure that posh riffraff.
It's Monaco.
Yeah, sorry, posh riffraff. Let me be clear about that. Look, I get that we need to increase outreach. That was the whole purpose of Drive to Survive. Why else would they make that? We've already spoken before about how misleading it is. But it's obviously not factually based. If you want that, watch Race to Perfection. So its purpose was to increase outreach. There's a reason why Race to Perfection wasn't on Netflix or Amazon Prime, because it's trying to reach that broader audience, as you say. So yeah, I totally understand the intent with inviting these people, because they have a big catchment, right? There's going to be a lot of people looking at this. Whether or not they're interested kind of doesn't matter, because a lot of the time, if someone you're influenced by posts something, you'll probably like it.
Yeah.
Even if it's not related. So they could be, in the case of the makeup one, you could be, makeup tutorial, promo, makeup tutorial, F1. They'll all like it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I suppose it doesn't actually matter too much. I guess what it is, and maybe I'm bordering on gatekeeping here, frankly.
Oh.
Is that it's like is it reflective of the sport? But then it's like, is it a sport or is it an entertainment? They're trying to strike a balance, aren't they?
Yeah. And what is it right now? And we'll probably talk about that a little bit more, because I know that we're both.
What's his identity?
Yeah, we're both a bit confused, as I imagine quite a few people are right now. But they apparently sold more tickets than they did last year, although I don't believe them. I really don't feel like they were full to capacity, as they were saying.
Yeah.
And
they can't say how many tickets they sold.
I've not seen anything, but it could have been brought out and I've just not seen it. But yeah, it just didn't feel as busy. And especially it's FP1, isn't it? But FP1, it was dead. There was barely anyone there, which I know it's FP1, but I imagine it was more
busier crowd at touring car practice.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. You know what it is? I think what it is, the thing that was lacking from Miami, and obviously aside from the racing, obviously talking about this first thing and the attendance, it was the atmosphere, right? It was lacking in atmosphere. It was very artificial. Like the presence on the grid, how many of them were genuinely interested in the sport, which obviously made Brundle's grid walk a lot more fun. And the intros and all that, and you think how much of this was artificial and how much of this was genuine interest in Formula One.
Yeah.
So it was lacking in atmosphere. So you go to places like Austria, Silverstone, the place is bouncing all weekend, and it's lacking that at the moment. Whether it's, I don't think it's even cultural, is it really? Because
no.
Americans love the sports, right? Yeah. So I don't know what. It was lacking an atmosphere for me. I think it was because it was attracting a different crowd to what a more conventional Grand Prix would attract. I don't know, but it's just like it was missing that spark. I think, that you can get at other Grand Prix. So yeah, I
kind of feel like it might have something to do with Vegas a little bit. Like there's we've got the Vegas Grand Prix coming up, and like I was saying, it's still a very European sport. So if you're trying to get Europeans to America, and I know that's not what they're really trying to do, they're trying to get Americans to go to the American races. Even if you are in America and someone says, okay, you can go to Miami or Vegas, we're going Vegas. Do you know what I mean?
To be fair, yeah.
So I wonder, and it being a new track as well, I just wonder if maybe they felt that they had to put more of a show on because the show is Vegas. Like, how are you ever gonna compete with Vegas? It's just not. And then it just felt fake.
Yeah, like it was trying too hard.
Yeah, like this podcast.
Trying too hard.
We know about stuff. Yeah, it does. Just get back to the back of the grid.
The camera's just looking a bit more often now, though.
Yeah,
because of Red Bull's dominance. So we'll take it. We'll take it. Everyone's interested in the backmarkers overtaking now. Believe it or not. We're always overtaking.
Sometimes cars as well. We overtake cars.
The Merc working again.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't even save Miami with a night race either. This is the thing about it. You can't even, because any race that, like, Singapore would be rubbish if it was a day race.
Yeah.
Absolute rubbish.
Yeah.
So, and like Vegas, I think will be a spectacle, like an insane spectacle. All the lights. But is that it? And this is where Miami falls short because you don't have that. What's its unique selling point, right?
The fake water that they still haven't filled in.
No wonder it's a meme Grand Prix.
Yeah.
That's its unique selling point. It can't be serious. It can't be a serious Grand Prix until it has a good one. Like Baku did. Baku could have been a meme Grand Prix.
Yeah.
And it was a little bit with a well done Baku thing. But at least it had a couple of good races to kick things off.
Yeah.
Miami, its unique selling point is the fact that it is a meme. Through and through. It just is.
It's just a meme.
It's just a meme. Everything else, right? Austria, Max Verstappen, Silverstone, Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah.
Vegas, the lights, and Monaco, the jewel in the crown. All of them have something, right? What does Miami have? It's missing that spark.
There's something just not there, is there?
Yeah.
I mean, I will say we will go into the race, but I think it had about 63 overtakes, 62, 63 overtakes, which was more than last year. I do have last year's one. Where is it? Last year they had 45 overtakes around Miami, and Miami was actually the most overtakes we've seen currently this season. But I think that just clarifies how bloody boring the season has been if 63 is the most overtakes we've had in a race all season.
And it's called boring.
Yeah.
The thing is, when was the last genuinely good season? I would argue it was 2012. Because
2021
and Coulthard couldn't stop 2021. I mean,
2016.
Yeah, by the end. All right, I stand corrected. I guess it's the.
I feel like
because there was a battle at the front. It's because there was a battle at the front with like multiple drivers and multiple teams. And 2012. It's like there were, as Coulthard put it, he kept calling it the golden era of Formula One.
Yeah.
And to be fair, in hindsight, he was right. I thought at the time, I kept thinking, oh, shut up, Coulthard. No, come on. It's not that good. But he was spoiled.
It was. Yeah,
absolutely spoiled. We had 7 winners in 7 races. First 7. And we had a grandstand finish by the end. And then Hybrid Era comes in, everything changes. And there was a couple of isolated seasons where things were good. 2016, 2021, you're absolutely right. But it's like that they were situations where you had at least 2 teams fighting at the front legitimately. And this is where I thought Ferrari were getting closer, and then this season you can see the dominance of the Red Bull, and everyone's going, here we go again. Here we go again. No one's got a chance now.
I think the thing is with Formula One is that they are constantly changing things. I mean, in the history that I've watched it, they are always changing the cars. I mean, when we went to the hybrid era, it changed a lot and it became Merck's dominance. And then it took God knows how many years. And it was only because they pushed back the regulations because of COVID that we had 2021, because we wouldn't have had that. And that's another, like, the teams take that time to catch up, because there's always a team that's dominant, that can throw the money into it, that can make a quick car, that has the personnel there. The teams catch up and then they change it again. And it's like,
it's uncanny. Yeah.
What can you imagine if they hadn't have changed anything after 2021 and we went into 22 with just an upgrade?
Yeah.
And
exactly.
It's just they ruin it for themselves in a way. I know that we needed to bring that cost down. I'm all for the smaller teams having more of an opportunity. But the reality is, it always means that there's a team that can fly ahead. Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes, Red Bull again. You know, it always gives that. Yeah. And then it's everyone else. And they've brought in Drive to Survive, where they've watched 2021 battle for the championship, and now they're sat there watching Max just being let through from P9.
Like he's on 30 difficulty. Yeah. Are we surprised that in a regulation revolution where the cars are now dependent on ground effect, that Red Bull, with chief aerodynamicist Adrian Newey, is winning? Like, like, as much as the cars are trying to form closer racing, in hindsight, because I was optimistic at the time, in hindsight, they've kind of shot themselves in the foot, because they realise how talented Newey is and how experienced he is. It's no surprise in hindsight that they've turned out with the fastest car.
Yeah.
What we should have been aiming for is more standardization of components, like in the engine or the wheel, some of the bodywork, even some areas of the car, wheel rims, and begin to standardize parts so that those areas can't be developed in a unique way, so the teams that can afford that development and have the expertise just run away with it.
Red Bull and Ferrari and Mercedes all complain.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's like they say,
what do you mean you're taking away our advantage?
Yeah, they'll all complain and then it won't get put through. It's like when they say, well, just give them the same car. Okay, we'll all have the same car and we'll all run Honda engines. Ferrari and Mercedes will leave. Like,
no, you're right. Yeah.
I mean, Formula One will never become that, because it's never its intent. It is about who can create the best car. That is it. Best car, best driver. That is what Formula One's about. But it's just, how many times can we go through this where, oh, look, we're getting another car change in 2026 again, and it's like,
already.
What?
Slow it down a bit.
Oh, it'll help the small teams.
Slow it down.
Williams is still at the back, bro. How is it helping?
It's not. It's helped Aston. That's it.
Yes, Aston Martin.
It's the only team it's helped.
Yeah.
Yeah, massively.
Yeah.
I don't know who designed that car, but they're a genius, because it just made massive gains immediately. It's so unusual to see such a big shift when the cars haven't changed, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, between obviously 22 and 23, it's been a small evolution, really.
Yeah.
We already went through that big change to the 2022 cars. So it's not like they just capitalized on this big revolution in car development. They just nailed it. They must have just designed it from the ground up, and it worked. So some got it right, and some didn't. And it's just so it's a case of whether our philosophy is right. We talked about Mercedes, and they keep changing their pods, so every team is like debating with themselves. Unless you're up the front, you're debating with yourself: are we going the right way or not?
Yeah.
I feel that's a lot of the problem. Is a lot of the back teams trying to work out which direction to go in, and they're just wasting time compared to the ones at the front who know they're going in the right direction, so they just keep upgrading. So, no, standardization would be better.
Yeah.
But it's whether they're going to agree to it. You just need to sort of incrementally bring it in, because otherwise they won't agree.
Yeah.
Definitely. You don't take away all the advantage immediately.
Let's go back to the weekend.
Yeah, let's went off the tangent again.
Yeah, we did.
Relevant, but we did.
Yeah, there was a point to it.
Yeah, 100%.
Quali. We'll briefly go over qualifying because I think that was better than the race, to be honest.
Yes.
So it makes sense to talk about it. The McLarens were out of Q1. Stroll was out.
I feel sorry for all those McLaren fans.
Oh, why would you do that? Yeah. Why would you wear that today?
I don't know. Using it as a tea towel yesterday.
I would,
yeah.
Nick de Vries out-qualified Yuki, which I think was the best thing to come out of quali. Although I love Yuki, de Vries needed that. He needed a little bit of a bump up after Baku.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it was such a strange mistake from him. So there you're thinking, oh God, is he feeling the pressure? But, clearly not. Fresh start. So he went in there thinking, you know what? That's behind me now. Delivered. Yuki's been really solid.
Oh, yeah.
I thought I'd just keep dominating the Vries all season, but no, he's got it right for once.
For once.
There's a little display of what he did at Monza last year. So, yeah, good drive from him in quali.
There was an outlap upset between Kevin and Lewis. And it went to the stewards because they run an outlap. And Lewis didn't make enough space. And I'm going to say this, I'm a Kevin fan. You're on an outlap. You need to make your own space, bro. I understand why you followed that damn fine ass, but you needed to make room, Lewis.
That was got target fixation.
Yeah, I'd be right there as well.
How late he reacted, though.
I know, it was like the last corner.
You can't rely on the driver ahead to speed up.
Yeah.
You can. You have to react to them. And if they then speed up afterwards, all right, I can put my foot down again. Great.
Yeah.
He's thought, he's bound to speed up. He's bound to speed up. He's bound to move. And, well, predictably he didn't. And it nearly ended in tears.
God. I was not screaming at him. I promise.
No. Not at all, no. Is your roof still intact?
Just about. Yeah. It's all right. It's all right.
Repairs are next week.
Well, I mean, it made it a little bit better when Hamilton went out in Q2. He got out qualified by Hulk and Albon in a Williams.
Yeah, that was unusual.
That was weird.
I didn't expect that from Lewis. With his experience, you'd think, he's, when you see where Russell ended up, you don't expect that from someone like Lewis.
He got oversteered, didn't he? On his and he just couldn't put a lap together in the end.
Part of quali being so good is that it was really close. Actually, the time gaps were really close.
Oh yeah,
I think in Q1 it was only 1.2 seconds across the field, which is the same as Bahrain. I remember noting at that point that in 22, basically going into this year they halved the gap across the entire field. So it was obviously like, oh my God, it's still happening at Miami when the field spread is only 1.2 seconds. So it does show that, like, if you make even a slight mistake, you're dropping 5 places.
Yeah, it's huge.
If you can't hook it up, you're out. And in that sense, it probably wasn't a car issue. It could have very easily just been a mistake. They said it was gusty as well.
Yeah, it was. He had oversteer. That's what
Yeah, the
he said
Rosberg
was.
curse.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was quite windy. It was windy. But yeah, that was that.
Burritos. Bad news.
Sorry, it was Leclerc. He's got wind.
$350 each.
I'm gonna have
Good value. Let me
I'm
tell
gonna
you.
have to sell my win to get a salad at Miami. Let me tell you that now.
Not fast. Look, to be fair, it did spice up qualifying, so it's money well spent, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, because Q3 was spicy, very spicy.
They saved a little bit in the tank for Charles.
Well, Max and Leclerc both messed up their first runs, and that's not a particularly great thing to do when the field is so close together. And then Leclerc, unfortunately, binned it, turn 7, backwards into the wall, quali over. Kevin P4.
Just like that.
That's what happened.
Alonso P2 as well. I mean that Leclerc crash just looked like France, didn't it?
Do you know what?
Year?
I put in the notes. I don't know if you read it. We'll go over Ferrari, but that Ferrari does not look good. There is something so wrong with it, and it looked even worse during the race. I have some theories, but I'll talk about them later. I do have some theories as to what could be wrong with it. I'm not a mechanic, by the way. I don't know. I know it's weird, isn't it? I know so much. Or you can put a camera apart and put it back together again.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, watch out, everyone.
No, good shit.
Practical tips with Hun.
You see that bit there?
I'm going to show you how to dismantle a camera.
You have to when you clean it. Anyway.
Well, there you go then.
Yeah, but I have theories. But interesting that I noted that Max and Leclerc's Q2 time was actually faster than Perez's Q3 time and Alonso. So if they have maybe got that first banker in, it could have been Max and Leclerc 1-2.
More than likely, yeah. Because you could tell Leclerc was like, look, it's hero or zero time. Let's just push it and see what happens. And he already got the entry wrong where he ended up spinning it. He went wide on the exit of the previous corner, got the entry wrong, had to take too much curb, and then bam, off he goes. So there was already pressure on, and obviously we're awaiting theories on the drivability of the Ferrari. But maybe it was just the pressure situation as well. He
went over a grid.
I've got one go now.
There was there's like a bump, and it's where there's like a grid, and that's what he went over. Yeah.
It took a big bump, and then it just there's no catching it at that point, because I think some of the drivers might need reminding. They're ground effect cars. You take big bumps, the downforce doesn't work. What? It's sucked to the ground. So if you bump over stuff, it's not being sucked to the ground anymore.
But that's the track's fault.
As a rally car.
That's the track's fault.
Yeah.
That's because it's a car park and not a real racing track.
Stop hitting curves.
Yeah. Honestly, I never hit them.
120 mile an hour, yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
This is why I don't hit them ever. Don't hit them.
No, not at all. No.
Charles learned something.
He did.
Race. Now, there wasn't much that happened. We're not going to go through each individual team. I think we'll just go for key moments, maybe. I don't know if you have any more notes about stuff. Maybe just keeping it to the important 2 things that happened during that Grand Prix.
Max driving like it was 30 difficulty.
Yeah, basically.
P9. And he did get driver of the day, didn't he, in the end?
An
no, did Alonso get it?
abomination. No, Max got it. Ridiculous.
Max did get it.
Ridiculous. Absolutely stupid.
I mean, it's not a surprise when you drive from P9 to get a win that comfortably. I think it was noted at the end. It was, I think it was Button. I think it was Jensen that was like,
probably.
But then it's like, it's not just the fact Max ahead. Like, look at the gap. It's over 5 seconds over his teammate.
To his teammate,
it wasn't even close. It wasn't even close.
But
so I think that's one of like the key moments.
But let's
drove it like it was easy.
Let's make it fair, okay? Because I have a problem with what Red Bull did. Okay. Perez and Pole. They put Perez and Max on different strategies, okay? Which they tend to do, don't they? Right? Perez started on mediums, Max on hards, okay? Now, Perez ended up with a lot of deg on the mediums, and he did say it cost him time. I don't understand why they didn't start him on hards, because the only reason you'd start him on mediums is to keep him up the field. But that Red Bull is about half a second a lap faster than the rest of the cars. So him being on hards wouldn't have been a problem. Alonso had nothing. He had no answer. The Ferraris were out of it. Merc weren't there. And it just made it almost too difficult for Perez to even try and win at the end of it.
Yeah, because if anything, Max had a longer stint on his mediums than Perez did on his.
Yeah.
And Max was on hard. So the advantage, the ball was in his court every single lap, basically. Except he started P9. I mean, you've got to feel for Perez, because they would have been talking about this in the strategy room, going, look at who we got behind us, right? We've got Alonso, we've got Sainz and Russell and all that, and we've got to be aware of that. Fine.
But, they were laughing. They're going,
but it's like, even if you dropped position, you know your car's quick enough.
Yeah.
Start him on hards.
Yeah.
I just don't know why the discrepancy. I know we've heard teams going, we wanted to split the strategy, make sure we've got the victory. It's like, you were going to get it anyway.
Yeah, I get why they split it, because it could become a problem pit stops, that they both have to pit around about the same time. That can be a problem. Red Bull do the fastest pit stops every single year, pretty much. I don't think that's going to be a massive problem, that they have to go back into the garage and grab another set of tyres and come back out again. I just don't think it is. I do still think that Max would have won, I have to say, because I saw a graph on his times. His laps were consistent every single lap. Man's running around on 44 lap old hards, doing the same time pretty much as he was when it was like lap 10. So he's consistent. That's how easy it is for Red Bull and them tyres. It's too easy for them. So I do think he would have won.
The window so well.
Yeah, but I just think there would have been a bit of a battle, at least.
Yeah.
When there just wasn't.
Give them a chance for a proper fight.
Yeah.
Where they can go wheel to wheel. I know Red Bull then go, oh god, it's not worth the risk. It's not worth the risk.
Oh my god.
Max is quicker, it's not worth it. And it's almost like what they were trying to do. They wanted to create a scenario where they wouldn't need team orders, I think.
And I understand that.
If they're on the same
understand
strategy,
it.
It's like they can then just go, well, they were racing.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with us. We just gave them a strategy. They agreed to it. They went out there, did the best they could. Max came out victorious by 5 seconds. We had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
We didn't tell them. Max went past. And they'd have a point there too. And it's that balance again, sport versus entertainment, and where we're going. It wasn't the fight we were hoping for, but you can understand Red Bull's mindset in that they want to make it as simple a race as possible. They don't want uncertainty. They don't want difficult situations. They don't want controversy as much as that would suit Drive to Survive down to a T. They just don't need it. They don't want it. It's variables they need to weigh up, and it takes processing, it takes data, it takes time and people. And they'd rather just keep it simple. And to some extent, maybe that's exactly what they were doing. They're like, we know Perez is going to stay out in the lead anyway. We just want to make sure this scenario plays out. We know that Max will probably have the pace regardless. This is the way we think it's going to go. We've mapped out the race. And we know they'll pass each other if everything stays as it should. They'll pass each other toward the end of the race, and Max wins, Perez second. So they simulate all these and these scenarios, and if anything, it probably went perfectly.
It went perfectly for them, absolutely. Yeah, and then it brings me back to the point where like Perez is saying, "I can go for the world championship." There's got to be a point now where Perez goes, "Okay, I'm driver 2. I need to just accept this and take the money and go."
I think there's indications this season. He's won 2 races this year. There's Jeddah and Baku, 2 street circuits.
Yeah, so he's very good at it.
Street specialist, frankly. Street specialist. So he's clinging to that for now, and hoping for some luck in the other scenarios, because there is always luck. There's always reliability. And when Max is down in P9, you don't know what could happen.
Yeah.
Frankly, you don't know what you could get caught up in. But at least Max probably didn't feel like he needed to rush anything because he knows the pace of the car.
Yeah.
But with Perez in this championship fight, this campaign for a championship is an outside chance. Yeah. There's more standard tracks than street tracks. So whether street tracks play into Perez's favour, I don't know how relevant it is in terms of his opportunity to win the championship.
Yeah.
But luck can still play into it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I hope so, because I feel like Red Bull should give them an equal chance. And I think Perez has done a good enough job to prove that he could fight for a title.
Yeah.
But I do feel like this is going to be the season where Red Bull have to make a decision on Sergio. And Sergio has to make a decision on Red Bull, because he's not going to win a championship with them if it continues on like this. And Red Bull don't want 2 drivers battling for a title. So it's not going to work.
No, they've learned from the past with Vettel and Webber. And not really Max and Daniel, no, actually.
Daniel was better than Max when they were teammates. He outperformed him. I mean, Max wasn't as good as he is now, but yeah, he was definitely up there more than Max was.
It's those situations, like, at least they had like cohesion in the team, like where Vettel and Webber just kept butting heads constantly. They just couldn't get along at all, and you can understand it. Multi-21. I mean, say no more. But these other partnerships, these other teammates have managed to be cohesive. They've managed to work together most of the time, and have sort of reached an agreement eventually. Like, they've shaken hands, right? That's it. We'll move on. But some of them just can't shake it. Like Hamilton and Rosberg at the end couldn't shake it at all. And Red Bull, like Merc, don't want another one of those. They just don't. And so far, it's working well. But after what happened at Brazil last year, this is a different Perez. He's already won 2 races.
Yeah.
This is a different Perez. He's like, gloves are off now. I don't care. You have let me down. I have no reason to support you now, basically. I'm just going to do what I need to do for the team, but not for you.
But they can turn that engine down.
Well, this is it. Yeah. It's like, I'm doing my best for the team, but the team could just turn on him as well. This is the other thing. So you got to feel for Perez. He's sort of between a rock and a hard place at the moment. I'm not quite sure where he's meant to go or where he can go, where his potential is. Because he's been like Ricciardo in that opportunity is like right there. It's right there. He can't quite reach it.
No.
I'm not sure if he'll do a Rosberg where he just gets one championship where it's like, wow, that was lucky. Bloody hell.
I'm off. Bye.
We'll be in it to win it. But yeah, it's one. He's like, right, I'm gonna spend time with my family now. Bye. Enjoy. It wouldn't surprise me. He's still in the title fight. This is the thing. It's not like Max has won all 5 races. He's there. He's right there in the thick of it. And it's a long season. A lot can happen. Reliability could play a role. But the Red Bull's dominant.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
It's huge.
I was going to bring that up quickly as well, is that could they match that record of the MP44 in the 90s?
Yeah.
They won 15 out of 16 races as a team. It could happen. Hasn't happened yet, but it could well do. He's broken Schumacher's record for wins.
Yeah.
It's gonna be this one, if anything, yeah. 100%.
This is definitely the best car Adrian Newey's ever made.
Yeah.
Insane.
Oh, by far. Unfair.
There's no, unless they both break down or crash each other out, get involved in some kind of incident, it's always going to be a Red Bull that wins. They're just too fast. There's no way.
Right.
So, yeah, this could definitely be the season for that, I reckon.
Yeah. Well, speaking of reliability, there's no retirements. That was unusual. Every car finished the race.
Know.
So if there's any questions about reliability, they're all answered.
Car park. It's a car park.
It's a car park.
Just go around. No crashing. It's good.
The only retirement was Scholl in qualifying.
Yeah, you went out in quali.
Technically.
Get it out of the way.
Yeah, exactly. Someone had to.
Oh my god. I was quite impressed with Merck, to be fair, because Merck didn't look, other than FP1, when for some reason they decided to throw on some new softs towards the end of FP1, which didn't really make any sense, but they did it anyway, and they were top of that. They were really nowhere around. I did not see them making it into sort of top 6, top 7, but they went for different strategies, which I understand why they did that, because that made a bit more sense, because they're not as fast as Aston and probably faster than Ferrari, but that's another thing. But George could not catch Alonso. So the pace is there. There is pace, but it's what? Midfield? Is that
third
it?
At the moment.
Third?
No, well,
one lap pace. It's Ferrari.
Fourth, isn't it?
Like Ferrari have the 1 lap pace done. I reckon they're about second. But over the race, yeah, probably. Alpine aren't far behind either.
No, but they had a decent race at Miami, and yet Safnauer is still under pressure. That's what I've been hearing. And that's maybe something to do with Melbourne. I'm not gonna lie. But still, at least they recovered it a bit at Miami. But it's still a case of, were we... Well, no, it wasn't like it was luck. There wasn't any yellow flags, let alone reds or anything. There's nothing. No retirements.
They were
it's hardly
there
like the race was interrupted.
through pace.
So that's actual pace.
Yeah, it's through pace.
It's actual pace. So the pressure on Safnauer is an odd one. So I guess the next couple of races are going to show like whether or not they are legitimately on that pace, whether Miami was a fluke, where they got the setup right. I don't know, but it's the fact both drivers performed okay. Suggests that the car was actually in good shape. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It's kind of weird. There's other teams that performed much worse, such as McLaren. But well, if anything, Zach's the one under pressure. Well, should be. Max is Zach even is the one that should be under pressure, not Otmar.
No,
as far as I'm concerned.
I'm gonna say something that's quite controversial. Piastri should have gone to Alpine.
He will be kicking himself.
He's got to be like, oh, what did I do that for? Why?
I have not signed for McLaren. I will not be driving for McLaren the rest of the season.
This contract's not right. I'm gonna just squiggle this out. Alpine driver.
Oh, I misspelt it. It starts with M.
Damn it.
I mean, Piastri.
They did
What
have a bit of a
have you
bump
done?
at the beginning, didn't they? There was a bit of a bump going on between Lando. I don't even know because I didn't even see it. But
Was
Lando.
it Bottas? I think it was Bottas. It was
I
one of the
don't
Alfa
know.
Romeos. Yeah.
I'm not
think
quite
so.
sure what happened, but I know they started them on softs, which is ridiculous. Like,
Oh, it's
what
such
they
a
were
waste.
doing. Like, oh, it's a difficult car. Here, have some more shit. Just, there you go. Have that.
They
Enjoy your
wasted a
life.
stop
Yeah.
for no reason. Whose decision was that? I don't know who the
Zach!
strategist is. They've obviously hired them from Ferrari. Because who comes up with that? Seriously, like, no one was running the softs except in qualifying.
Yeah.
And qualifying runs in practice. There was not one long run on softs. Or not one meaningful long run on softs until McLaren thought, yes, that's the direction we want to go in with this race. We want to start on them. They knew the deck on high fuel as well, and they thought, even better. Let's drill our race into the ground even more.
Okay, we might be a bit quicker at the start because we're at the back, but I mean, it was like 5 minutes and they had to change the tyres.
Yeah, so any gains you would have made would have been useless and then some.
Again.
And to be fair, they didn't make any gains.
They did nothing.
No, they barely moved.
I swear to God, Lando must be just at the point where it's like, I need another car. I need another team. I've dedicated so much of my F1 career, and rightly so in a lot of ways because they brought him up to this level. But what an absolute bloody waste of a driver. It's just...
Yeah.
And I feel the same for Piastri, who's a sensational driver, right?
Yeah.
Just wasted at McLaren, and another team will pick them up. If, you know, I've said it before, if Lewis retires, Lando.
Yeah. That's a shout.
The only other thing
would be an amazing team.
The only other thing they could, I mean, this would be a push, but bring Danny Rick back and throw him in the Mercedes. But he's too much of a risk in that he can't really adapt to cars where Lando's young. No, Daniel, you're young, honey. You're the same age as me. You're young. You're young, Daniel. Right?
You dug yourself a hole there.
I just fucking called myself a hole.
Get that clapped.
Get that clapped. Fuck off. This is a swearing podcast. It's fine.
It is. It's deteriorated now. As fast as the softs.
Let me tell you something. The rubber's burnt away. It's all fucking gone.
Our stint has worn out quicker than the McLarens tonight. That's to be said. They wasted a stop, though. They wasted a stop.
Oh, what was I talking about? Lando, Mercedes.
Lando, you were.
Gone.
You were talking about Danny Rick.
Yeah, Danny Rick, but he's too much of a risk.
Got sidetracked on his age, yeah.
Yeah, then I call myself old. Okay.
Yes.
But yeah, I know that they've got George and they're like, you know, this is our boy. This is him. I've got a cat pen, by the way. This is our boy.
Sorry to anyone listening.
Hello, our boy. And Lewis is going to teach him everything. But I've got another pen, another cat pen. I don't know what it is, but I think they're quite even on their skills, and I think Lando would be, just be a weapon.
Yeah, exactly. Just give Lando a fresh start. There's nothing better for a driver than a fresh start.
Yeah.
And I mean that, like, whether or not the car's good, every driver loves a fresh start. Like, that first couple of races, like the honeymoon period again, it's like, everything feels new, exciting, and then you have the realization.
God,
3 races in.
It's McLaren.
God, this was a mistake.
Oh.
Alonso knows very well.
Yes. He's been to every team.
And then Danny Rick got a taste of it as well. I blamed McLaren live.
You were that one that was like, it's Honda, weren't you? You were blaming Honda, weren't you? Yeah, of course you were. Of course you were.
Yes, I'm unashamed to say. No, I am. Wait, am I ashamed or unashamed? Ashamed to say.
I'd be ashamed.
I blamed Honda.
Yeah, of course you did.
I did. I naively went, yes, it's all Honda's fault. How can they get it so wrong? And then they moved to Red Bull.
And then they got a world championship.
Yeah. And I spent the rest of that season with the tail between my legs.
It's got to go somewhere. Anyway.
You went there.
I'm sorry.
Get that clapped.
Get that clapped. Alonso was driving around, having a great time, watching the race whilst driving it.
Arguably, he saw more of the race than we did. He spent most of the time looking at our phones. And then he was watching the race from the screens. Oh, Lance is doing well. Where is he? P13.
What?
Do you notice the long pause from the engineer as well? Like, he must have been going,
oh.
Did he just ask that?
Yeah.
What did he say?
Like, are you racing the car? What are you doing?
Yeah. Can you concentrate for a minute?
There was no one round him, though, for the majority of the race. He wasn't catching Perez. Then Max came through. And it was just... I just go for a nice drive round of Miami car park.
Literally a Sunday drive. It says it all when Russell had a good race, like a really good race, and still couldn't catch Alonso.
No.
Like everyone was saying, Russell had a brilliant race, couldn't catch him. That's how quick Alonso was. And
I've got to ask a question because I was thinking it the other day in my canoodle. If Fernando, I know it's not going to happen, but leave me to my moment, right? If Fernando Alonso got a drive at Red Bull, would he win the world championship? Or would it be Max still?
How long have we got?
This is the thing. Well, not long, because I think we've been recording for about an hour already. There are things to take into consideration. Christian Horner loves Max Verstappen more than his own kids. So would he allow that?
It's funny because it's true.
It's true. It's fine. I get it. It's fine. Or would Alonso, being as dominant as he is, like he's a very strong character, would he go, no, I'm not being driver too? And then there's is Alonso better than Max?
I think it would still be advantage Max because Alonso is joining Red Bull. If it was the other way around, I'd be more inclined to go Alonso, but I think it's the fact that he's having to get into that Red Bull for the first time. Maybe he'll get up to speed really quick and cause Max some problems. Would that end up just being another Hamilton-Rosberg? Where they just can't seem to get along. Oh God!
Please, I love Sergio.
Another duel in the desert,
but just make way, okay? There's another tiny little man who wants to drive that Red Bull. Let him in, bruv. Let him in. Poor guy.
I mean, what do you think it would be advantage Alonso?
Yeah.
Then? Yeah.
Yeah, the way that Alonso manages to drive a car and do the strategy all at the same time, his mind isn't 100% on racing. He can drive that car the way he does and still have spare parts of his brain that can do others. He's not a person, he's got an engine. He literally has space where when you listen to Max when he's racing, he's like, something feels weird. And it's like he's at breaking point. Do you know what I mean? Right. Like he's at that point where capacity. It's like where Alonso goes,
what do I do?
Can we just maybe go for plan B plus 12? And could you order
Swinging
me
by the pit. I'm swinging by
a
the pit for an
melon
espresso.
salad, a watermelon salad for when I finish?
Get one for Lance as well. Put it on my tab.
Go on.
Because Lance really needs one. He's probably really hot in that car. He's probably really tired. So we better look after him, because he's put in such a good effort to get to P5. It's like his dad.
Oh, I'm telling you now, Lawrence Stroll's favourite son is Alonso. He ain't Stroll.
It's true.
He just looks at him like...
It's true. Yeah. And Lawrence looks at Alonso the way Christian looks at Max. Fernando.
There's something in the air that died. No, I mean, it's... Yeah. Alonso's just... I hope that Alonso gets a chance. Like, I hope that they make, that gap up somewhere along the line so that Alonso can battle Max. Because everyone wants to see it. Everyone. Because the way that Lewis had patience, Alonso's not got patience. And Alonso would be out of the car going, "You all right, mate?" Well, no, that's not Spanish. You wouldn't say "you all right, mate." How dare you? I can't do Spanish. I'm very good. Hola. Idiot. Yeah, I don't know.
What are you doing? I don't know. I can't do it either.
What do I do?
We've just offended a whole...
Yeah, I'm sorry, Spain. I'm so sorry. You're going there soon, so you've got to deal with it.
Yeah, I know. I've got to deal with the backlash.
Were you that guy on that podcast? I thought I recognised that stupid accent. Yeah, no.
You're the farmer. You're the
farmer.
Get here.
I forgot what we were talking about. We need to move on because this podcast is getting very, very long.
Yes. I mean, look, standout best performances. It was obviously Max getting up to that. Getting a win from P9. There's no ignoring that.
Yeah.
That was really, really good drive. It's the second one. Is it Russell or Fernando? Because both of them... Like, Fernando had a quiet race, but it was comfortable to P3. Another podium, the fourth one of the season. And then you got Russell, who put in a really good drive to get... It was P4.
P4, yeah.
So, yeah. So, I mean...
Science was P5, wasn't it?
How do you interpret it? Yeah. Like, I think it's still probably Alonso, because it's his fourth podium of the season. It's the consistency that's standing out for me now. And he's making it look easy. And it's no surprise of Alonso, but in an Aston Martin. They both are.
Max has got all assists on.
That's what it looks like. I don't accelerate out the corners. I'm jealous. Like, how are you making it look so easy? Because to some extent, he's probably not in having to push the car to the limit anyway.
No.
He only has to catch Perez. That's his only objective. Catch Perez. That's it. Unless I'm already ahead, in which case just drive away.
Just cruise, bro.
So he's got quite an easy objective considering the car. It's still a case of he managed to work his way through from P9.
Yeah.
Which is not an easy feat. There's so many different things that can go wrong. So yeah, I think it's probably them two were the standout ones. There's no one team stood out. Obviously it's Red Bull, but Perez, if anything, just fell back.
You've missed the race. So. You weren't watching that day, were you?
No.
Let's talk about
really.
Ferrari.
This has all been just...
Yeah, let's talk about Ferrari, because I have some things I'd like to talk about Ferrari. Something is wrong with that car. Massively.
Oh, you have theories.
Oh, I have theories. So,
here we go.
Ferrari have always had a very front-heavy car. They've always done that, okay? And when you watch them drive around, they almost bottom out. Like, over race periods, like, if you watch them race, it's definitely a high-speed issue over a consistent period. So I don't know if maybe it's to do with the car's too heavy at the front because they were having blistering problems with the tyres. Both of them were on the radio going, my tyres are done. They were clearly suffering with blistering. It just loses downforce on the rear, and none of the other cars do that. It's only the Ferrari. And I unfortunately sat there for some time today watching the cars go around corners in slow motion. Just because I thought it was, but I'm a girl. If I say anything wrong, I don't know anything, so I have to get this right. But yeah, I just wonder if that is the rear's the issue, and possibly that they are too heavy towards the front. But over a one lap, they are second fastest car, easy. But over a race period, they cannot put the power down. They are terrible for wear on the tyres, and they just end up losing the downforce to the rear. Leclerc was stuck behind Kevin in a Haas for the majority of the race. That's insane.
To be fair, didn't Leclerc get passed and then Kevin then got back passed again?
Yep.
Yeah, I thought he did. So
and he was stuck again.
It's just it's like Leclerc and Sainz, particularly Sainz actually, aren't confident in putting the power down at all. So there is an imbalance of downforce in favour of the front end. And when there's any little bump, it doesn't like it at all.
It just
everyone's hitting bumps.
Yeah, but they can't deal with it. I just don't think the new regs for the cars is something that Ferrari I've got their head round.
No, I don't think so.
No, they just don't seem to be making a car as I expected it to be. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like how heavy it is at the front. These are new regs. The car's totally different. Why are you making a car very similar to a previous gen of car? Which is what it feels like they've done.
Yeah, it's weird though. I don't know if it's because I get what you mean about front heavy. That could be the weight distribution more towards the rear. So the rear just wants to go anyway, regardless of what you do. If you're in a high-speed corner, you don't have to do anything. The back end just wants to go.
Yeah.
So maybe weight distribution, because there's no ballast now. No. It could just be like weight distribution or something, or it could be their downforce. They're trying to account for it. And as a result, under different circumstances, they're like, look, the trade-off here is we can be good in quali, but you're risking it in the race. You might get to the end, or you might spin. That's the risk we're willing to take. And both drivers know it. And they're just taking the risk every single time with that. And when you got Leclerc trying to catch me, look at Imola last year, I think it was. And he made that big mistake at the chicane, just overdriving it. And it's like they've been told there is limitations with the car.
Yeah.
It's something we're still trying to figure out. Just drive it like you stole it and hope for the best. To some extent. With obviously fancy strategist words thrown in there. But essentially, that's the gist of it. Like, why... They shouldn't have to overdrive it in a development race.
No.
And that's all it feels like, sadly. It just feels like they're struggling with it every single race. They're never comfortable. They're never stepping out of the car going, yeah, it was wonderful to drive. It was a joy to drive. Unlike Alonso and Max and Perez, they can all sit there and go, yep, this was beautiful to drive today.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it. I don't know if the Ferrari drivers can say they enjoyed a race.
It doesn't look like they enjoy it. It looks awful to drive.
It's anxiety-inducing.
Yeah. I mean...
Is it going to spin this corner?
Ferrari have always done... McLaren are very similar. They're very set in their ways about the way that they make a car. And there's been so many changes in Formula One, especially last year, this year. They can't be like that anymore. They have got to take the steps. They've got to get the basics right, and I think that's what they're struggling with, because they're so focused on making a quick car to beat Red Bull that they don't have the basic aero down. So put all this power in it, but the aero's shit. It's not going to work.
Yeah. No.
But they're so... I don't know what it is, but they don't seem to be improving. the car.
No.
It's the same as the first race of the season. It looks very similar. A bit quicker
Yeah,
over
it's
one
not.
lap, maybe, but other than
Yeah,
that,
visually it hasn't
race.
changed really.
No.
Yeah. They just it feels like they're stagnating in some way, whether that's development wise, and it's just creating frustration for the drivers now. Where it's like, what are we waiting for now? Like, what is in the pipeline? Is this going to change or not? Because we've been putting up with this for a few seasons now. I say putting up with it because that's probably how they feel.
Especially Charles.
I can't read their mind, but yeah, exactly. Charles particularly, and he's had his own mistakes. Obviously, that needs to be acknowledged. Places like France, for example, but then to some extent, how do we know whether that was because of the drivability of the car again? Like, it's a weird place to lose it.
Yeah.
When you got all that downforce and the car just spins. It's unusual. You'd think there's plenty there, but I guess if you're on the limit, then that downforce might account for nothing. I don't know, but
Yeah.
they're struggling to find that balance at the moment, and the drivers are just beginning to get a little bit impatient. And I don't know what's going to change it. They need to just figure out what it is that's actually preventing them from getting a balance. So the drivers aren't enjoying it.
No.
It's not.
Yeah. We'll do a driver of the day, and then we'll move on to the last couple of bits. We were going to do winners and losers, but we've spoke too much. It's gone on too long now.
We sort of covered the winners and the losers, actually.
In a
Yeah, it's
way.
all in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my driver of the day was obviously Kevin.
I see. Yeah.
Just, you know, and Haas, I think, did a fantastic job all weekend. Brilliant. Absolutely.
Had to justify.
I don't care.
Well, there you go. Look, the bias is obvious now.
No, oh my God, you cannot tell me that Kevin was the best bit. He was actually racing balls out.
Yeah, at least he's putting up a fight. Yeah.
Yeah.
At least he's putting up a fight with Leclerc.
And Yuki Tsunoda.
That,
did you see the overtake that Yuki Tsunoda did? I can't remember what it was. It was. I saw it. It wasn't actually shown, but it's on Twitter. He did a brilliant overtake. I can't remember who it was. He did a fantastic overtake, and Max doing that double overtake, which is good. But I mean, Leclerc and Kevin, of course, you're gonna get past. So do you know what I mean?
It should be a done deal before it's even started, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did give him a hard time, so yeah, I'll give him that. I mean, for me, it's probably, I think driver of the day, because we're talking about positions gained. The obvious choice is Max, frankly. As much as that car is really, it looks like a piece of cake to drive. There's a way it comes across, but it's the fact he kept putting in those consistent laps and making up ground without taking any damage, and played his strategy to perfection. So yeah, I think the obvious choice there is Max, but I don't really want to make a habit of that this season because I could quite easily say, yeah, he made loads of places and got his strategy right. So it is their job, because driver of the day didn't necessarily have to be the most surprising driver, which for me could have been Russell. But I think, the actual driver of the day is probably Max, yeah.
Wow, you are that boring, aren't you, really?
I'm that boring.
Yeah,
that
you
boring.
are that, but you're that boring, you lagged out. Even Discord's like, you're boring, bro, get out.
Get out.
Get out.
Get out of here, I'm booting you.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Had enough of this.
Did you see the person in the pit lane when Norris came to pit towards the end? There was a little runner in the pit lane again.
I did. Right at the entry.
I know.
Where there's that little kink, the corner, before you actually hit the line.
Yeah.
And someone was just darting across.
Yeah. it was probably some kind of personnel, maybe someone that came from the garage, because that does happen quite often, that you'll see them go from the pit wall back a two. That's a pit lane. That happens a lot. No matter where you race, what level of racing you do, I would argue the lower rank racing you get, the more people are just hovering about in the pit lane. But yeah, it wasn't as close a call as Ocon at Baku, but still everyone was like, what is going on? Oh my god. I understand why people are upset about it, but it's pretty much a common occurrence. It's just how it is, really. To be honest.
Yeah, see a car coming down the pit lane, then someone just behind will just dart out and run across into the garage from the pit wall, and vice versa. They're always doing it. It's a risk that they've all come to accept.
Yeah,
it's like we have to take this risk, otherwise we're building tunnels under every pit lane just so people can get through safely. And
we should do that.
F1 is wealthy, but F1 is wealthy. They could afford to do it.
We just solved the pit lane problem.
Yeah. There you go. Put
a
tunnels
tunnel.
A tunnel.
Start digging.
Do an Abu Dhabi.
You got my safety thing.
Yeah, exactly.
You know all that safety stuff.
Under the pit lane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We solved the problem.
Job done.
Sorted.
Exactly.
Absolutely fine. Completely unrelated, but it was the same. I know you and Finn were talking about it last night, about the tow truck that was on the track. I didn't know a huge amount of about that, so I watched it back today. So there was a tow truck on the track whilst the Porsches were coming. So they were coming from the pit lane onto line up on the track. And there was a tow truck that was removing a Formula One car, which I'm guessing was Leclerc.
Yes.
Now, that's very, very common looking into it, because they're not in a race scenario. They're not racing. So all of the cars will be at a limit. They won't drive. They won't be driving around like at racing speeds. It's a very, very common occurrence. I know people were like, trucks shouldn't be on the track, and I do get that, but literally they have to recover a car, and there's more races that go on than just one series. And in order to keep on time, a tow truck removing a car wouldn't be, so you wouldn't wait around while the drivers are obviously aware of that there's a tow truck on there, and you need to be careful. Hopefully they wouldn't be going at a speed that would mean there could be a considerable crash if anything like that happened. So I know it gives Jules Bianchi, it does bring you back to it, and it does make you go, oh my god, please don't do that. But it happens everywhere. It's at every track.
Yeah. It's one of those that got very quickly taken out of context.
Yeah.
Because frankly, the original video that started going viral didn't have any context to it. No one said on it, by the way, this is normal. It was just the video going, oh my god, there's a truck on the track. And it's like, initially my thought was, what the hell is it doing there? Thinking it might have been a safety car because of how the cars were driving.
Yeah.
And then I started looking in the comments, and, oh, lo and behold, this is normal. They were lining up on the grid. And I thought, right, okay, fine. As far as I'm concerned, there shouldn't be that procedure where it is allowed out there in any way, because it's another obstacle. It's another hazard. But I get that if it is procedure, all the drivers are aware it's there, and they'll be on the radio to their pit wall or the garage saying, it's coming up around this corner, just be aware. It'll be around there. At which point, then there's no danger because everything's being communicated properly. But then I'm thinking, just eliminate the risk entirely, make sure the car's out of the way, then you can get the Porsches out. But that's one of those ways. You say there's time constraints. You've got competing goals there, right? You've got to work out like safety or completing the, extra safety, because they have barriers anyway. They have communication.
Yeah.
And the cars are safe. Or you got we need to keep to time. So it's that balancing act, and I think they've maintained that. Let's stick on time, because everything else, the driver's got enough sense to miss that truck. They're not going to crash into it unless something really weird happens. So I get it. There's a sense of just leaving it up to the initiative of the driver to go, look, that you're clever enough to figure out that you need to not drive into the truck that's on track at the moment, and everyone knows it could be out there because there's a car being recovered. So
Yeah.
fine, as long as everything's communicated properly, I'm not really got an issue. It was the fact it was out of context initially. I was like,
Yeah, it
"Whoa,
was.
this."
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's why this is the thing now with social media. You know, social media
Yeah.
is everywhere and things get taken out of context
Mm-hmm.
and people run away with stuff. And just having that information is, I mean, I've done it. I've gone, oh, blah, 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 without context. And it's something that we definitely do need to look at, because you know, motorsport's never going to be the safest thing in the world, but procedures like that are done to the book. So, you know,
right.
everything that was done was perfectly safe, and all the drivers were very aware. So, yes, I just wanted to cover that. I know British Touring Car was on. I know I watched it, you watched it. We had Formula E as well, but we have kind of run out of time. But we were speaking about it before the podcast. That, you know, we are probably more of a Formula One podcast, but we do watch other motorsport. We don't just watch Formula One, we do. So, you know, we do have a gap where, you know, F1 isn't racing, and we're going to do a recap on sort of the seasons as it's gone by and different podcasts. So if you are into different racing series, you know, let us know in the comments section. We'll, you know, it's probably highly likely that we watch it, and it would be great to sort of talk about, because I mean, I said it before we started the podcast, there's something missing in Formula One. Something's gone. And it's been going for me for quite a long time, and unfortunately I'm old enough to say I've been watching it for 30 flipping years. 90s, the noughties, 10s now. And I've also watched different motor series, and I find myself not being excited for F1 anymore. I don't know. I still watch it, I still talk about it, because it's what I've done since I was a little girl. I used to annoy my mum with it all the time. Mum used to tell me, shut up. Shut the fuck up. I don't care about racing. But it's, I don't know what it is. I don't know. I feel like whether the heart, for me, the heart and soul of Formula One has gone. It's not about motorsport anymore. It's about a show. And everything has to be entertaining to watch. I get that. But there is just something there now that is heavily missing, that just doesn't make it exciting anymore.
No. It's missing the spark. It's losing its personality, really, in that sense, or its personality is changing.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's changing quickly. It has been doing this for a long time, but it's now that realization, like how far we are from where it was in its golden era, if you like. Which, call it 2012 or the 90s or the 80s or whatever golden era it aligns with you, depending when you started watching. So something will be nostalgic to you. Something will be, it will trigger that memory, like the sound of one of these engines. You'll see it on YouTube of these cars being run around Monza at full chat. V10 or in one of the V8s with a blown diffuser in the back, and it just triggers something the way music does. And it's like, that is beautiful. And you just wish for it again, right? You just want it back. And it makes it even harder to accept what's going on right now in Formula One, I think. And we don't know. I don't personally know. I'm not even on Twitter anymore, so I have no idea what the general consensus is. I don't know how much this even appeals to the younger generation now. I have no idea how it appeals to young people. I have no idea if they like what's going on. They might love it. There might be a group of people who are going, we love that intro. In fact, I did spot a few comments saying, yeah, it's a really cool intro.
Yeah, there were a lot of people that did enjoy that entertainment from it. And like now we do have more fans. And I really don't care how you got into Formula One. Everyone has to start somewhere liking something. I really don't care. But there are a lot more that come from an entertainment point of view that found that very entertaining, where I can easily start watching from 5 minutes before the race starts. I don't necessarily watch the beginning part, or Martin doing his grid walk, or I used to, but now I'm just a bit like, ugh. I watch the racing, and some people just like the entertainment for it, and we have to appreciate all aspects of that. But it's motorsport.
Yes.
And I just don't.
Deep down, at the heart of it, its identity, its DNA is motorsport, it's racing, wheel to wheel. And the amount of gimmicks just take away the seriousness of it as well. Like when the helmet goes on, it's a big deal. And it makes the drivers seem less serious as well, all this kind of stuff. And as much as we love it when they sort of have a laugh, when the helmet's going on, when they're getting ready to get in the car, you want to know they're taking this seriously. And the little intros like that, like at Miami, I'm not sure if that helps that image. And that's probably why they were really cautious about being too emotive about it. Because, whether they cared about it or not, you still got to sort of maintain a neutrality, you don't want to be too... Unless you're Lewis or Alonso or Raikkonen when he was still there, Vettel and all that, they could afford to be. But the younger ones probably can't. They're still building that reputation in the sport, so you have to be careful how you portray yourself, and you have to be neutral. Sadly, so I think it's just what we remember of F1's personality is not the same anymore. And I think it's quite hard to accept, but there's no doubt that the racing has been impacted by this. There is no doubt about that. And it's definitely not in a good way.
No.
And it needs to basically have a good look at itself again. It's done it about 3 times in the last decade, had a good look at itself in the mirror. It needs to do it again, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
It needs another one.
It would be interesting to find out what other people's opinions are of it. I mean, maybe... I personally just come from an area or a time where I'm used to certain things, and now it's changing. I'm just being an old fart. I'm just going, I don't like change. It could be that. It could be that.
We're just boomers, it turns out.
Yeah, it could be that. Like you say, younger people might enjoy it. So it would be really interesting to hear other people's opinions. You could do that whether you're, watching from YouTube or on any of our socials. It would be really interesting to see if people actually enjoy Formula One more now than what they may have done a year or 2 or 10 years ago. But yeah, for me, I'll still keep watching it, but I think that, I need to watch every session. FP1, FP2, I need to watch quality, I don't care. I genuinely, I'm just not caring anymore, and that's not great.
No.
I'm
forgetting there's sessions on at times. It's like, oh god, I missed practice. Whoops. Never mind.
I nearly missed quali because I was I was at a fucking street party, and I was like, quali.
Oh no,
I've got to go. They were like, what? So that part of me's still there. I left. I fucked off. I was like, guys, see you later. I've got to go. Well, I had to go home anyway because it was dark. I can't drive in the dark. So, so it's still, but it was like, F1's on, I'm going, goodbye. See you later. If someone books like a table for a meal on a race day, and
that is out of
I
order.
still go, are you mad? Formula One's on. You will have double checked, and still you booked that table. And now I'm going to have to tell you
you've done this.
I can't make it. Why? Because F1's on? Yes. Because it's more... It's just fucking rude. And I swear to God, they don't book anything when it's off-season. Nothing.
No, right.
Nothing.
Just leave it till the summer, right in the height of right in the middle of a triple weekend.
I used to
Triple header,
remember
honestly.
my birthday used to be around Silverstone Grand Prix because my birthday's the 5th of July, and I swear to God, I missed a birthday party of my own. I missed like an hour of it because my mum, because it was fucking quality. I was watching quality.
Yeah, come on.
Naomi, you're being very rude. You're being rude. You're interrupting me while I'm watching this. Oh,
exactly.
God.
Exactly. They just got to understand our point of view. I was out with the drinks with my pals, and they were all having a laugh. We were all having a laugh, and I looked up. Oh, look, there's a screen with F1 on. I didn't talk to them for the rest of that
No,
time
that's fine.
in that bar. I just
That's
sat there
fine.
watching it.
Yeah.
Fortunately, one or two of them are interested as well, so I was just talking to them. But basically, I just taught myself well. I was like, nope, I'm watching this now.
Yeah.
That's what my interest is. I'm afraid. There's nothing you can say that will tear me away from this. But still, I get what you mean. It's like that. Is that really like unconditional interest there anymore? Not necessarily.
Yeah, that's it.
Only for the key sessions like quali in the race. That's the only ones as I'm concerned. Even practice, like, oh well, never mind.
Yeah, it's fine. I'll catch the highlights. See you later.
3 minutes. They can fit the highlights in 3 minutes. It says it all.
Yeah. I think we've rambled on enough. I think that's enough. I think because we are live streaming this, I think we started about half an hour into the stream, and we're now at 2 hours. Like so I think we've got another hour and a half podcast.
We
again.
A nice lengthy episode for you to all get your teeth into.
Yeah. 2 random people talking about F1, and we're expecting them to listen for an hour and a half.
Ironically, it's about the length of a Grand Prix for a backmarker.
Yes, but it's more interesting, I would argue.
100%.
There's pussy.
Yep, there's more cameras on.
There's pussy. Not getting that from F1.
Pussy pen as well. Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Got all.
I can't see it.
Why does it look a middle finger?
Anyway. Shall I put the music back? Are you ready? We're going to end it now, everyone. You ready?
We are.
Is it playing? I can't hear it.
It is.
Good.
Yep. So professional.
Oh, God, it's great. It's great. Thank you, everyone, for listening to us ramble on for yet another episode. We do apologise in advance for the gaps in the episodes. We will not be back next week because you're away.
I'm indeed.
Yeah.
Suffering pain.
Tanning. He's tanning
for
again.
A week.
Yeah. So we won't be back, unfortunately. We will be back the following week to talk about Imola though. So that's always a good thing to think about.
Oh yeah.
If you aren't already subscribed on YouTube, hey YouTube, click that subscribe button.
Hi.
Because you need to. And on Spotify, Apple, it's available everywhere. We're spread widely.
Don't read
that's
too much
what
into
she said. On that note, thank you very much for joining us. Have a nice holiday, Kieran.
Oh, thank you very much indeed. I can't wait to listen to this on the balcony.
While throwing yourself off.
Is that what I sound like?
And just end it now. Not
That's
your
enough.
life.
That's
the
enough.
podcast. Just end it now.
Yeah, you need to be clear about that. It's preserved forever now.
Oh, God. Thank you very much for watching. Take care. Good night.
Goodbye.